What's up, y'all? Feezy Mafia back with another comparison video between two replicas and one authentic Travis Scott Air Jordan 1 High. So this is the authentic version, and it'll remain in the middle of the video for the whole time. So I want you to notice the tumbled leather here on the shoe and also how the swoosh looks and texture of that. And that's going to be the first thing we compare here. So this replica version is the GD 3.0 batch from Coco. You can see that there's hardly any tumbled leather on there, and the swoosh looks pretty good, but that sail leather just is not tumbled. And then this is the GT 3.0 version, and it's a little more tumbled and the swoosh is a little more smooth, so I think this one wins that battle. Next thing we're going to be comparing is the Air Jordan logo. See how embossed it is there, and then the leather is kind of squishy and folded over. So here's the GD batch. The logo looks decent, just not as embossed as much as I'd like it to. And then here, that part does not meet the end of the shoe, so this little stitching flaw there. And then here's the GT batch. It's embossed a little bit more, and that one meets the end of the shoe there, so good lining on that part. And then the authentic has that brown stitch that you guys know right there on the black portion of the shoe. Coco's version has it spot on there and placed where it should be. And then here's that GT version, and it's hard to tell on camera, but yep, it's there as well. Let's look at the toe box. Notice the tumbled leather there. The white sail leather is tumbled, and then the brown suede, and notice how thick that is. It's a pretty thin profile on the toe box for the authentic version, so just notice that. And then again, this white leather, it's a little bit more tumbled here than it is on the side panel. And then I think the profile is just a little bit too tall here for the GD batch. And then this tumbled leather is pretty good here on the GT batch. The brown suede moves a little bit better, and it's a smaller profile, so I think this one wins the battle there for the toe box. Let's look at the tongue here on the authentic version. Notice the stitching placement and the spacing on that. Now let's look at the back of the Nike Air tag. There you go. You can pause it if you need to look at it closer. Good bolding on it. And then the tongue is not very thick at all. So here's the GD batch. Good Nike Air tag placement. Tongue is just a little bit thicker than the authentic version. And then that's good bolding as well. And good placement here on the Nike Air tag. And here's the GT version. The placement on that Nike Air tag is a little off. You see how the writing kind of rolls over the front of the tongue. Spacing's good for the stitching. Thickness is good. And then again, this is pretty spot on here with the authentic version. But for this one, I think I'm going to give the tongue win to the GD batch. Have a look at the size tag on the inside of the shoe. Here's the authentic with the normal standard barcode. And what I've noticed with these replica versions is they don't place that barcode on there. So they use the QR code. I don't know if that's just something to make sure that they show that it's their version, their replica, versus having a barcode. So somebody please feel free to comment and let me know why they do just the QR code here. Let's look at the Cactus Jack logo on the heel of the insole. Here's the GD batch. And I did put these under a black light after I filmed the video, and they both light up just like the authentic version, so they're on point if you use a black light for that. Here's the medial side of the authentic version. Look at the overall shape and textures used here. So there's that tumbled leather, Cactus Jack placement. GD version, good placement on the swoosh. I'd like that to be a little bit more tumbled on the white leather, but nonetheless it's still really good. And here you can see this one is a little bit more tumbled on the GT version, and then good placement for the Cactus Jack. Here's the back of the authentic version. Notice the black stitching here on the upper portion, the shape of the hourglass, and then the Cactus Jack logo, the embossing. Good suede movement on the brown leather. GD version. So they have nice straight lines there on the black. The suede doesn't move very much, but I really like the embossing that they did there. And then they have a good shape of the hourglass, you can see right there. And the GT version. The stitching is kind of crooked up here in this black area. And then pretty decent hourglass shape. The embossing is not as embossed as the GD version, so I'm going to give the win to the GD shoe there. Let's look at the stash pocket here of the authentic. Look at those lines and then the texture. Here's the GD version. So that stitching is pretty far down in there, but the material, the red material, looks the same. And here's the GT version. A little bit better there, but the texture on both of them was identical. So hard to say who wins that one. Look at the outsole, and I'll let you see those stars there at the toe that everybody likes to compare. Maybe the toe just a little bit messy there with the stars. Pretty decent here on the GT version. Just going to look at the extra laces here on the side and the bags that they used. Authentic version here in hand. Bags are identical here for the GD version. Lace colors are all the same as the authentic. And the same thing goes with the GT version here. Same bags, same colored laces. So what I'm going to do now is compare each one of these shoes to the authentic, so you can see them both with the authentic. So the authentic's on the bottom and the GD version is up top from Coco. The midsole looks a little bit more yellow when it's up close with the authentic version. But if you're just taking a glance at it, it's really hard to tell, honestly, that this is a replica version. I think an untrained eye would not be able to identify this as a replica. And then same thing here with the GT version. GT is up on the top. Midsole color is a little different. And then the shape there on the back, you can see it's a little bit wider than the authentic version. And something about both of these replica shoes is that they're both a lot heavier than the authentic. So I think the authentic was like 6 ounces and the replicas were each over 8 ounces per shoe. Just because everybody likes to ask about the box, here's the authentic box here. GD version, label looks pretty good here. The box is a little bit darker. And then the GT box is even darker, but the label's still really good. So color of the box is going to be something that stands out to me there. As you can see them all together here now.